Thank you for staying with us as we continue our special coverage of Hurricane Ida here on This Week in Louisiana Agriculture. Right now, I am at the Louisiana Department of Agriculture and Forestry's Sub-Emergency Operations Command Center for this. Joining me now is Commissioner of Agriculture and Forestry, Dr. Mike Strain. Dr. Strain, first, thank you so much for all that you're doing for our farmers and ranchers. I know you went out on a plane recently to go and tour some of this.
Yes.
What did you see from the air?
Well, what we did, we flew the river, and then, of course, then we flew through the cane fields, went all the way down to Point Celeste, and then we flew back up through the eye of where the storm went. So starting here, we went, from grain elevator and then also looking at our refineries. And what we saw is a tremendous number of barges that are onshore. In other words, they were grounded, and so they are basically in what we call the batcher area. And so since the river was low, most of them did not make it up onto the east bank levee. A number of them are sitting on the west bank levee because that levee is much more steep. And then we did see a number of sunken barges and barges that are going to have to be pulled out because they are in the channel. Until a little while ago, there was no motion on the Mississippi River, and we've also been working to get these barges and our tugs moving. When you see the river, it is completely full of barges and tugs and ships. And we saw a number of ships that were grounded, probably at least 5 ships that are physically grounded. They got tugs trying to get them off of being grounded, trying to get them back out into the channel. And some of them may have to wait until the river rises to move. They're sitting up there kind of high and dry. But we need to get all these ships moving. We've been working with the Coast Guard, with the Harbor Command, with the Governor's Office, and everyone, and also our grain elevators, because we have to have these barges pushed by these tugs moving north to receive the grain, and then going down. Right now, about 50% of the total export capacity of the Mississippi River, right, which exports more than 60% of the nation's grain, is currently out of commission. On our refineries, probably 5 out of 7 of the major refineries along the river are currently not producing fuel. Why? Because some of them were affected directly, and secondly, they don't have power. And then also what happens is that we can't get some of the inputs needed to refine fuel from the chemical plants that make them. That's a big deal. Right now, we're desperately trying to get nitrogen. We've got to have electricity coming into the facilities that make the nitrogen so we can get the nitrogen in a pipeline to the refinery so they can refine fuel. You're quite well aware across Louisiana there's a huge issue on the availability of fuel, gasoline and diesel. So we're working very hard with that. A few moments ago I just bought an entire barge load of fuel. I'm responsible to fuel the government and all of the emergency entities such as hospitals, nursing homes, first responders, ambulances, whatever that is, that falls on our agency. That's part of what we do in Emergency Command. So far, the rice crop doesn't look too bad. That's very good. We got reports from our farmers. We have people in the field taking a look. And the good news is we did not have a mature ratoon crop, and the storm stayed pretty tight. Some of the areas where the eye came in, it did lay that cane down. We're hoping, though, we're getting some good weather, that cane will come on back up. And so overall, I still think we're not going to have any sugar shortage. But those farmers, it's going to cost the farmers a little bit more money or significant more to harvest because the cane is down, right? But if we can have some good weather and we can get the ground to kind of dry out and get some energy going into those crops, that cane will lift up a little bit. What we don't need is a continuous amount of rain so that we have a, quote, a muddy harvest.
That is the key. Well, thank you so much for spending time with us. Commissioner
Absolutely.
of Agriculture and Forestry, Dr. Mike Strain. I know that we're still in the middle of this disaster. You have a lot to work on.
Well,
we
from
appreciate
this
you
point,
taking
this
the
is
time.
where it really gets busy. At first we're trying to prep, then we go through the storm, right? And now in the aftermath, you're dealing with the growing issues that occur. For instance, what happens now, the fuel issue is becoming critical because everybody's running out. The generators are running out. They're running out for their homes. And as you quite well know, the issue of civilian fuel is a huge issue, trying to get fuel there. But the biggest part of that is that 5 of our 7 refineries, right, which is probably 18 to 20% of the nation's refining capacity, is down. That's an issue, and we're working on that feverishly.
We look forward to when those come back online. There's a whole lot more coming up here on This Week in Louisiana Agriculture. We're going to share some of the stories you shared online after this.